Hi, welcome back to the Jack and Glenn channel. I'm Jackie.
And I'm my husband, Glenn.
He's my husband, Glenn.
Hey, before we get started, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification so you don't miss any of our reviews. Today we're reviewing Married at First Sight, Season 16, Episode number 7, Jamaican Me Crazy. Jamaican Me Crazy. Man, we at Episode 7 of Married at First Sight. Honeymoon is over. We see the couples go back into their new apartment, or to their new apartments, and we start to see fireworks. Start to see fireworks with the couples. So where do you want to get started at? Let me know.
Okay. So, let's kind of start where they started at. We'll start with the couples, and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
Shaquille and Kirsten, not much with them. Nicole and Chris, not much. So we'll roll that way.
Okay, let's go.
All right. So, it's the last day of the honeymoon. All the couples get together for dinner. They're getting together after Gina and Clint's blow up. Yeah. And so, we find out that Gina and Clint had a conversation. And this was after Clint had a conversation with Chris and Airris.
Right. And
told them what happened. And so...
Before you go there, Clint was really disturbed. He really didn't understand what the issue was.
No, he did.
He understood what the issue was, but he felt like most men feel, I didn't say anything wrong.
Right.
What did I say that was wrong?
Right.
Because the way she heard it was...
You called me fat.
And that's not what he said.
No, he
That's
didn't.
her own insecurities coming through, her own feelings coming through, and he said, what I used to date was slender and athletic women. He didn't even say that's not what I have now. He just said that's what I used to date.
He said, yeah, that's what I'm used to dating.
What I'm used to dating.
And her issue is that, you know, he didn't see anything wrong with his statement. It's disgusting. It's a red flag for her. And so when he talks to Chris and Airris, which I think it's an odd combination to talk to. Anyway.
He was waiting for Airris. Airris to them is like the guru.
Which just knocks me out.
They couldn't, oh man, Airris, I'm glad you're here, buddy. Yo.
I know. I was like, anyway, so he tells them, you know, okay, so after we had the group conversation, she went and talked to the girls. They had a whole big powwow. So basically, she came back to me on 10. When she got enough nerve to talk to me about it, she came to me on 10. And she was like, oh, you made these disparaging comments and you called me overweight and blah, blah, blah. And he was like, I apologize. But she was like, it's unforgivable. And he said, in contrast, and I came to the conclusion, maybe that must really do bother him. He was like, you know, she keep talking about, oh, I'm a ginger. I'm a redhead. I'm light-skinned. I'm this. And I'm like, that must really bother him. And I told my husband, really, in looking at Clint, besides his beard, like he's not your typical, like he's not ginger. His hair's not red. That's what I'm saying. His hair's not super red. You know, he's got the red in his beard. You know, kind of red complexion, but he must really don't like that. The way she was saying it.
The way she was
saying it. So Airris was like, well, maybe her weight is an insecurity for her. And Clint was like, but I tried to apologize for that. I didn't mean it that way. And he's like, now I've been typecasted that I don't like bigger women. And that's not the case. All I was saying was, what I usually go for is this. Not saying that bigger women aren't attractive. Not saying that I haven't dated anyone like that. But for the most part, he was saying, I got a type. And this is not.
That's not my type.
Typical type.
It was more embarrassment for her than anything else. Because it's in front of the people. She was embarrassed. Why I don't understand why she was embarrassed, because the rest of the other girls around there are plus size women. And so Chris was like, you know, the issue is you tell it like you see it, and not everyone takes that well. And, you know, Clint could acknowledge that, and he says, you know, I see how it sounded, you know, when I reflected on it later. And so, you know, this is a moment where I kind of have to look inside and, you know, then go back and try to fix it or whatever. So then we see where the couples, they go to dinner together, and Gina says, you know, me and Clint talked, and he was very apologetic, and he understands how what he said could be offensive. And, you know, Nicole chimed in, and of course she did. And because she is
not a woman of a few words.
Pineapple.
She had enough.
Chris should have said pineapple.
She got plenty to say. But Clint addressed the table and was like, sometimes I speak off the cuff. Comments spoken in a moment or not to disparage anyone, had the wrong word choice. And Nicole's thing was, we can appreciate Clint addressing the table, but he really didn't apologize. And it really wasn't for him to apologize to them. All he needed to do was apologize to Gina.
Yeah, I don't have to apologize to all y'all. If you're offended by my comment, that's you, not me. Mm-hmm. To be honest, that's you. That's your insecurities coming through. I was talking to my wife.
Well, I was talking out loud.
I was talking out loud to my wife.
And the main person I should be concerned about offending. Of course I don't want to offend y'all, but I need to really make sure I'm straight with my wife more than anything.
Right, but that comment didn't offend him because he wasn't talking about them. How are you offended by a comment that somebody's making?
Because they're big. They're bigger.
He's not trying to date none of y'all.
Right, but it doesn't matter if he's trying to. When again, we talk about insecurities. When that's something that you have an issue with in yourself, even if they're not talking about you, you feel like, ooh, it's kind of scathing, and you do feel like.
If you would have said I'm used to dating black women, would that offended all the white women in the room? You see what I'm saying? To me, that doesn't.
It's just like we had a conversation before. His comment was on a physical characteristic that can be changed. Her comment was on something that I have no control of. So if you say I prefer black women over white women, again, that's something that you don't have control of. And
that's her insecurity.
And nobody should really be offended by that. They just might be like, well, why not? But anyway, after Clint speaks his piece, Shaquille was like, well, I want to hear from Gina. Let's hear from Gina.
It's messy, dog.
But it wasn't. She says, he was like, you're an attractive woman. It just comes down to verbiage. She says, I'm a runner. I'm going to be honest. I took that moment to run. I was like,
She a track star.
I ain't trying to do it. And she said, but I realized that we have to approach this head on and deal with the issue.
Stop right there quick. Married at First Sight put a certain type people on the show. They put runners. Alyssa, big runner. Gone. Alexis, a runner. Gina, runner. They're getting ready to get a 4x14.
I feel it.
If you go through the show, you see the same type of people that are being cast for the show. Oh, that's a whole nother video, but
anyway, Nicole says at the table, like, if Gina can't forgive him, then we're gonna give you another chance. Just know, basically, she told him you kind of on thin ice, but she was like, she acknowledged basically it's not up to us, it's up to her. So we're gonna go with our girl.
Y'all ain't kicking me out the group because she mad.
Anyway, and so then they talk about the fact that this is the last night of the honeymoon, and Gina's like, well, how would you rate your marriage? Why do we do this?
Same typical questions.
Why do we do this?
Same questions every honeymoon, every season.
So Dominique and McKinley go first, and McKinley was like, we've had some issues with my sense of humor, her not really getting what I'm saying, and I need to convey my real feelings and not disguise it in sarcasm or whatever. But he says, I would rate us like a 7.5. And Dominique was like, yeah, I agree. And we can work up to a 10. I feel like we could get to that place.
7.5 ain't bad. That's a C.
That's not bad.
Not bad.
For Nicole and Chris was like, it's really better than I expected. And so I rate us. Now, this is funny. I rate us at 8.2. And she was like, oh my God. I was going to say 8.2 too. No kidding. Like, not 8. She said I was going to say 8.2. I'm like, man, y'all are not on the same page that much already. There is no way.
You got that way? What are you thinking?
Ain't no way. That's what I'm thinking. And what she said was her concern is that once they get into real life, because obviously we're on a honeymoon, there's no distraction. Yeah. We don't have any dogs. We don't have jobs here. But once we get back to real life and normalcy, like, how's that going to work together? I'm sure we'll experience some battles, some challenges that we'll have to overcome, trying to mix our lives together. But she said they're up for the challenge.
Up for the challenge. But you mentioned in the past episode, they both have high pressure jobs anyway. Mm-hmm. And so they're both moving the shakers. And when she gets home, one thing that she talked about for her last episode, that I want to bring to this one was when she get home, she says, I'm a relaxer. I want to sit in the chair and just chill. And Chris seemed like he's not a relaxer. He likes to be moving things.
No, because that's why he said I don't want her to think I'm lazy.
Lazy, yeah.
Because he's like, I do be chilling, you know, when I get home from work. But she was like, I feel like we just don't know enough about each other yet, but we'll get to know each other. And in his vignette with Gina, Clint's like, man, Nicole's a hardcore New Yorker, man. She gonna give Chris the ride of his life. And Gina was like what? She was like, I don't mean it in a bad way.
Yeah, no sexual ride.
Well, first of all, yeah, no sexual ride, and I don't mean it in a bad way. I'm just saying that she gonna give him all he can handle.
She's rough around the edges.
Mm-hmm.
She's rough.
Cause we know Chris is so. We'll see a little bit later. Chris is so
emotional, but
he's so just.
And that's wrong with men being emotional. Cool
and calm, and he's just so. Go with the flow type. But anyway, for Shaquille and Kirsten, she talked about the fact that they had a moment earlier talking about his joking and how that was an issue, and with the physical and emotional, she said she rates their marriage about a 7. They got so much in common. It's almost like we're the same type. We're the same person. And Shaquille was like, I would rate it as a 7 as well. I'm excited to see where we're gonna go. And
I'm like, these dudes, they should be writing this stuff on cards, and then flip at the same time, 1, 2, 3, because again, nobody's gonna have an argument about.
Well, the proof is in the pudding, because then we keep going, and so Gina and Clint, Gina was like, I'm pleased at where we are. I would say we're at a solid 5, and I'm still hopeful, and I'm still in it, to come back from what we were just in, I'm good right now. And so Clint was like, it's good for him to hear that and for them to come back from the issue that they had. And he said, I rated about a 5.5. We're in a healthier place, and I'm willing to go forward and see what we can do from this point on. Then we get to doggone Jasmine and Airris. And I knew it was about to be some BS, because in his face he was looking like, God, dog.
Why y'all ask me this question?
And so she says, I feel good about where we are. We've had a few hiccups. When I found out he's never been in love, that was an eyebrow raise for me. The problem is I fall in love easily. He said he's never been in love. So my issue is, what if I get there with him and it's not reciprocated? I'm not trying to have it. And she seemed like the type that, she fall in love easy, and then if it's not reciprocated, then she turns it completely off.
Yeah. I mean, she said a little bit on After Party. She's kind of like Stasha a little bit, where she's really head in and she's dealing with a guy who is older, like Nate was, and hadn't been in love. And Stasha said afterward, I thought I was watching Nate. I mean, how you be that old and never be in love? That makes you a person, makes you a person for the streets.
I mean, I ain't gonna go, but, I don't want to get into that too much, but, I mean, why is we living with people, moving in with people, staying with them, not for no little time, and you're not in love with them? What the freak am I moving in with people for if I'm not in love with them and I don't see it going anywhere?
Waste your time.
Who does that? Anyway.
Oh, there's a lot of reasons why people live with people.
No, I ain't say it's a lot. I said, who does that?
You got bill arrangements, because I can't afford to live by myself. Instant booty calls.
Yeah, I can't see
all that type stuff. So
I can't see it. And so she was like, but we had fun together. And so I already rated about a 7.5 to an 8. And so Airris is like, yeah.
Brian, you stupid.
I rate us about a 7 too. I'm still hopeful we can get to a 10. And in his vignette, McKinley's like, I feel like some people are lying.
Right, yo.
No, you don't feel like
No, he's lying.
He's lying. And so Chris was
Brian, stupid. I'm telling you, I see how y'all treated Clint. Ain't be on fireworks.
I ain't gonna say nothing in this place. Now I'll say something to her,
but not in this
not right here.
Ain't no fireworks popping off on me.
And so Chris is like, okay, so do you think you can fall in love with her? Not trying to put you on the spot or nothing. And Airris was like, well, that's what I signed up for. I came to this process because I'm looking for somebody to love, but it's only been a week. We're still strangers. And he sounded like Jeffy. Stranger danger. It's only been a week.
Airris gave his pageant answer. That's his pageant answer. I think we can, but we only been married for about a week.
And he said, I'm here, it still feels kind of crazy, like, and nuts to be in this place. It basically is like, it still feels surreal, like, I can't believe I'm in this place. But Chris was like, you know, in his vignette, he feels like, Nicole, Jasmine's ready to be a wife, but I'm not sure he's ready to be a husband.
Bingo, Stasha Nate.
So, we're gonna come
it's
back
parallel couples. They keep the same people on the shows.
Yeah, so with that being said, let's go to we'll run through Gina and Chris real quick, because the rest of them and Shaquille and Kirsten is real short. Clint. I said that. I said we'll run through Gina and Clint and then Shaquille and Kirsten.
Oh, you said Chris.
No.
Alright, watch the tape.
Anyway, Clint. The main name Clint.
If the mama call him Clint, I'm gonna call him Clint.
But so the day they have to leave, Clint says he woke up with severe stomach cramps, like he's got it coming out of both ends. Gina don't look sick. It's suspicious to me.
You in Jamaica, man. Let me stop.
It's suspicious to me. But anyway, so they're like, you know, when they're leaving here to moving into an apartment together, so they get to see each other in a different light when they move in together. So they're interested to see how that's gonna go. And so we see them going into their apartment. She was like, you know, I'm ready to work. He's sitting down making plans. I want to have friends over. We got to add some chairs. You know, I like to do a Mexican fiesta night. And, you know, how we're going to get that all set up and everything. And she asked the question, okay, well, they talked about where her dog Hank is going to stay during the day. Will he stay at the apartment? No, I'm sorry. Gina said he could stay at the apartment or go with you to work. I'm thinking, how you going to send your dog with me to work? What? But Clint didn't seem to have a problem. She said, you know, Hank can't go with her to the salon, obviously. You don't want dog hair mixed in with people hair.
Doggy daycare.
Why are you trying to? And so he says, you know, he's excited about having a dog because he's wanted a dog for a while. He just hasn't had one. And so this is some time for them to get to know each other. Get to know each other, yes.
Put on speaker.
Yes.
Where was your dog going at before this? It's not like you didn't move to a different city.
What she said was either Hank will stay in the apartment or go with you. So I take it that he stayed in the apartment because she said he doesn't tear stuff up. He don't jump. You know, he's very well behaved.
So how about
he better be with his big self.
How about Hank do what Hank normally would do and stay in a freaking apartment?
Well, that was one of the things she said.
Yeah, but why even option go with me?
I mean, in case he wanted the dog to.
Don't force your dog on me.
But anyway, so that's it with Gina and Clint. I'm expecting to see some fireworks the next episode with them based on a preview. Interested to see. As far as Shaquille and Kirsten, she's like, oh my gosh, they're packing up to get ready to go. You've been kind of messy since you've been in here. He was like, because I'm on vacation. This is not where I live at. So my stuff is going to be out because I need to get to it. But at home, I'm very organized. My closet is organized by color, you know, and, you know, I'm actually really a neat freak.
You can see that. I mean, I think a lot of people, when they go to hotels, you living out of a suitcase, you just throw. Now, me, I try to keep my stuff together. I try. You know, there's some days. Depends on who we're with. We got all the kids now. But it's just me and you. We
definitely do much better than our children. I mean, but they do have it in one spot.
They do have it in one spot.
It just ain't neat.
Ain't neat. But anyway, I understand hotel life.
So, she was like, when we get back, we got a lot to do. You know, she has to move they have to move her and her clothes. And she was like, I ain't gonna lie to you, my closet is a mess. And he was like, oh, we're gonna have to fix that. We're gonna have to fix that. And so she goes into, you know, are we gonna wash our clothes together? And he was like, no, I don't think we'll wash our clothes together. And she was like, you know, I can wash your clothes. You just let me know what you want. Because some people are like, I want it like this. I want these kind of crystals. I want fabric softener or I don't. And he was like, yeah, no, I'm not that particular when it comes to washing my clothes. So it's just whatever. And she was like, good, because I can't handle all these scents and stuff that go with. And so
cane, flowers, and the little crystal scents that last there for 30 days.
I can't do that. No. But they're excited to move into the apartment. You know, it's gonna be different. Always having somebody around.
I like this Kirsten. She's warming up.
Yes.
And she didn't mention bald head in this episode.
She did.
So you can see where she does. Unless she's a good actress, she's starting to feel Shaquille, and she's trying to make this relationship, or this marriage work. right now.
Based on what he said on After Party, I tend to think she is a fairly decent actress. But anyway.
Well, look, I'm not. I'm going by what I see.
I know. I see right now. Yeah.
Right now.
I know. I still don't. Side note. Why these people go on here and be acting? Just be your real self. Let it be what it is.
Because millions of people watch it, and they don't want the ridicule. But you're gonna get the ridicule and the smoke anyway. So
regardless. But anyway, so she said she's looking forward to it. She realized she has to make certain intentional moves and make him feel wanted. She did acknowledge that. And so last thing we see them is in that little in that little bed in their apartment. Apartment's cute, but I was like, what is that? A full size bed?
They can get
or a queen? Like,
I complained about that for years.
It looks small.
They can give them bigger beds.
It looks small, but that's it with Shaquille and Kirsten. So let's go to Nicole and Chris, or do we want to do? Yeah, we'll save Dominique and McKinley because they're the only ones that really checked each other out. Not even each other's, but anyway. So we see with Nicole and Chris, he's sitting outside crying on the balcony. Man, I really thought I thought somebody had died.
I knew.
Or he found out that he didn't have no job to come back to.
His name ain't Michael.
I'm just saying, the way he was crying, I was like, something has really happened. Like, wow. And what is he crying about? And I mean, no offense to anybody by this, but he was crying because the apartment that they're moving into has a 2-dog minimum, and between the two of them, they have 3 dogs. And he's don't laugh.
I'm laughing, y'all. I'm sorry. I think it's hilarious. I think it's hilarious. I'm sorry.
I mean, because he was
not that.
I think it's because he was like full out, like almost can't catch your breath, red in the face, can't get yourself together, crying.
And I'm not even crying the fact that he. I'm
not
laughing. I'm not laughing. I need to watch the tape, but I'm not even laughing because he was doing all that boohoo and crying. I'm laughing because he was boohooing and crying, and he never tried to fix a problem. Most guys, I know with me,
right.
before I get a definite no, or I'm gonna try to work all the angles before I stay here and really put myself through this emotional situation. That's what made me laugh. Like, dog, you didn't even check with her. Like, maybe she can have sent her dog somewhere and bring your dog in. You're doing all this just off of somebody saying you can't bring your dogs. Like, bruh.
I think he was so emotional about it. Like, he just, in that moment, he just couldn't think, because all he could think about is, I've always been around my dogs. I can't go a day without my dog. My dogs, they get sad when I leave. Because he went through all that with Nicole. I was like, And so she was like,
thank God for his wife.
For her level-headed self. She was like, don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. She even went to maybe we can do a dog swap thing. I'll miss Charlie too, but I'm okay not being around Charlie for some time. We'll work it out. She even took some time and called her dad. Would you mind watching Charlie? He was like, what if I had to take Charlie to Florida? And she was like, I would hate to miss him. And she almost started getting choked up right there. But we're going to try to work it out. And she came back with a sensible solution. And he was like, now we see that Chris is the type that, like, he'll spirals fast. And she really got him back together. And I was like, this is what in a marriage, and we're gonna roll on from there. But in a marriage, I heard Pastor Dee Freeman say this. Pastor Dee and Mike Freeman there in Maryland, and what she said was, she and her husband made an agreement that when there's an issue, when it's something that's really trying like that, like we both can't fall apart at the same time. Somebody got to be the voice of reason, and then once you get yourself together, then if I want to, then I'm gonna fall apart. But
can y'all figure out who's the voice of reason here?
What? We both are. What are you talking about?
I don't fall apart.
So anyway.
That's another video.
But I very rarely fall apart.
To
the point I can get myself together.
Oh no, you're good. We don't have those fall apart moments.
Okay, get it right.
You're good with it.
Get it right.
There are some moments be like, hey, get yourself together.
Get it right. It's rare.
It's rare.
It's rare.
It's rare.
But anyway,
there's nothing wrong with that.
How you try? Did you see what he just tried to do? Act like I didn't have to get him together the other week. Okay.
I was together.
No, I had to help you. But anyway.
That was tragic.
It was, but still, it's okay to acknowledge that you needed some help. You needed some help. You needed some grounding. And I was that grounding for you.
Yes,
Don't
you were. I
that.
appreciate you for being my grounding.
Don't do that.
I appreciate
Anyway,
it.
yeah, so she calls her dad about the dog swap. And, you know, she said, and she encouraged Chris, you know, I'm willing to make it work. I'm willing to sacrifice. We'll get it straight. And so they met with the producers and they said, okay, Charlie's going to stay at her apartment with her family while they're in the shared space. And Chris will have his dogs. And so in the end, they'll do some time apart from their dogs each. And Chris was fine with that.
Which, again, bruh, think things through. I'm going to fix it. Fix this. Before you start boo-hooing. Anyway.
When they get back to the apartment, you know, they get back to Nashville, they go see their new apartment, and they're like, you know, nice little apartment. She wants to test the couch out for cuddling, and he's like, he likes the apartment. They don't have to add their own touch and bring the dogs in or whatever. And so Chris was like, you know, if anything ever annoys us about each other, let's call it out and talk about it. And then, you know, I know that I'm going to need to adjust my habits to accommodate you. And she was like, I know I'm going to have to make some changes too. So they're good on that. And so Nicole asked, so we put it in perspective when she made that comment. So she said, if today was D-Day, would you say yes? And he was like, I mean, and then she says, do you love me? She jokingly says, do you love me? It's in the context of the D-Day conversation. He was like, I mean, I like you. I don't love you. I like you. And she was like, okay, yeah, me too. I can't say, you know, I really like you, but neither one of us are there yet.
She keeps needing she needs that affirmation. Every episode she's asked this man, "Do you love me?"
No, I think.
But I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. What I'm saying is she needs the reassurance that we're still on the same page, that we're still working out.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think in this case she wanted to make sure that they were, you know, I'm not there yet. Let me make sure he's not either.
Oh yeah, man, this dude she done helped him save his dog. You better like me.
Yeah. Nicole acknowledged that they're coming off the honeymoon high. Reality is going to be setting in. But she's looking forward to doing it with him. And he really thanked her for her support. It blew him away how sensible and solution-oriented he was. Yeah. And how she was willing to make a sacrifice. And so they go through their first morning in the apartment. And she said he takes longer to wake up than I do. And he was like, as we already know, Nicole talks a lot. Yeah. So that's where they are. So next we have Jasmine and Airris. So we have them coming after the conversation with the couples. The next day, Airris, he's a person that has to have his me time. And so he got up before she was awake and he went to go do his workout and do some reading. And so he was like, you know, I feel a little bit guilty because my attraction's not on the same level as her. I had to, you know, do some reflection. I'm going to have to talk to her about it. And basically he acknowledges I couldn't do it in that space, but I do want to talk to her.
Which is, I mean, look, that's mature. That's maturity. I saw a little bit of growth because I always told Airris was a teenage boy, but in his meditation time, he might have got some clarity.
And so she comes back and he comes back and she's got breakfast ready or whatever. He said it like, "Oh, you got me breakfast," but I mean, it's not like she made it. You know, they brought you breakfast.
No swine.
But anyway, she said, "I'm glad to see your U time was good for you." And she says, "I slept good last night." And it was kind of off-putting when they had different ratings, but she said, "I knew they would be different. I didn't expect them to be the same because I know where I am." And she kind of knows where he is, but not really because he's about to drop the bomb on her. And he was like, I just needed time to process in my me time. And he says, you know, he's been beating himself up for it. And for him, time will solve the attraction issues that they have. Just give me some time. And he said, I just want you to be aware of where I am. And I've been feeling more of a friendly vibe.
He dropped the F word.
But he's confident, you know, that she would be there if he needed her. So it's a friendly vibe, meaning like, you know, if I went through something, I knew you would be there. You know, if I had to call you in the middle of the night. But he was like, again, just give me some time and some grace to get to the place where we can build that attraction.
This is my problem with that. Not with him, what he said, because my problem with people who say, we don't want to be friends. I'm sorry, I married my best friend. I married a friend, right?
Yes.
And we've been married 21 years, going on 22. I think you have to become friends first.
Or you definitely become friends in the process.
Friends in the process, you have to become friends first. I think in married first sight process, I have to like to be around you, right? You don't have to irritate me every single day or piss me off. And I think they do it backwards. I think I'm trying to be your friend, and we can be cordial, and we move into this attraction thing over this 8-week period. Even if you don't look like the way I expect you to look, right? We're building a relationship because, again, looks fade. People change. Different things happen. I need some stability. And the stability is that we can trust each other. We can communicate with each other. We got the foundation of interaction with each other. Those type things are the most important things other than attraction. Now, of course, you got to be somewhere on the scale. I'm not asking you to be a 1 or 2. You know, you got to be somewhere in the ballpark.
But in her vignette, she was like, I ain't trying to be nobody's friend. I'm trying to be your wife. But he's interested to see when they get back to the apartment how they'll adjust to each other. He said, you know, I've never lived with anyone. But, you know, when we get in this apartment, you know, I want a lot of black art in there. I want when somebody comes to the apartment that they know black people live there. I was like,
who can make your apartment, dog? This is temporary.
So
this for 2 weeks. I mean, 8 weeks. Sorry, not 2 weeks. 8 weeks.
There's more than 2.
More than 2. Sorry, 8 weeks.
But I thought I was interested that he said that. I'm like, okay. But so when they get to the apartment, you know, there's exploring the apartment or whatever, and he's talking like, you know, do you be in the back when you live together? Do you be in the apartment in the bathroom together, like when y'all pooping? And she was like, no, I don't want you being here when I'm pooping. And so then they start talking about drawers, and he was like, okay, I need this top drawer, and then I need this side. And it turns out everything he's asking for is the left side of something. And she was like, I'm noticing my husband is real bossy. He goes in the closet. I need this part of the closet. When you come in, take your shoes off. All my friends know when they come in my place, they take their shoes off and then go do this and do this. She was like,
it's the approach. He didn't include her.
It's all that only child stuff coming out.
It is only child stuff, but when you marry, you gotta have you might be saying the right thing, but it's the approach. Like, do you mind if I have the left side? Do you mind if what are the rules for our house when we have guests? Would you like them to take?
Like, I'm doing this. I'm doing.
I know he said I'm doing it, but the way that he should have handled it.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, he did not.
You gotta include your spouse.
She asked him. He asked her, you know, what would you do over her? She was like, nothing, because everything happens for a reason. If something bothers you, let's keep it out in the open. And he jokes. He was like, yeah, I was too busy, because he's eating while she's talking.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, my bad, I was too busy eating. I didn't hear what you said. Not funny.
Not funny at all.
That's never worked out. But anyway, so they go to his house. Well, that is the one house they go to. Yeah. They went to his house. His house looks really neat. Nice little house. And he was like, I haven't been here in 2 weeks because we got married. And then we went on a honeymoon. So I don't know if I cleaned up enough for my wife before she came in. But when it came in, he's got his own little home gym. He was like, I got this here in case I don't have time to go to the gym. And so that let her know that that's a real thing for him. He's serious about his fitness. And he takes her to the man cave, and then he goes again with the demand. I got this man cave. You know, me and my friends, we watch football here. We don't usually go to the sports bar or whatever. So whenever we get our place, and he's talking like outside the apartment, I'm going to have a man cave. She said, that's fine as long as I got a beauty room.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, that's cool.
But I like the fact that he was thinking long term. Even though he's not attracted to her, he's speaking long term, and I think because I think Airris is battling on the inside himself. I think when his friends get around her and people start talking, we'll see how he maneuvers more. Right now, I think he likes her as a friend. He likes being around her, and he's speaking in terms.
And so the one thing she knows is he had a nice shoe collection. And his shoes were neatly in boxes. You know, she appreciated that. And she noticed that he had the obituary for his father in the frame. And he was like, you know, I do that to keep him close. You know, we actually had a double funeral because my uncle died at the same time. And she, again, noticed how, you know, that means a lot to him. He wears a necklace with his dad's picture in it. And so she can appreciate that, that sentiment from him. And that emotional side from him. So last but not least, we got Dominique and McKinley. And she says, in talking about doing the Married at First Sight thing, she's actually surprised that this is something that he wanted to do because he doesn't seem like the kind of person that likes to get out of his comfort zone. And she tells him, I don't want you to do stuff for me, do stuff because you want to do it. And he was like, but you don't understand this. I'm saying, if I just leave it to me to do it, I'm not going to do it.
I'm not going to do it, yeah.
But I want to participate in what you're doing. So that's why I say, Dominique wants to do it. Let me go ahead and get motivated to do it. And so that's how I push myself. I'm not just using you as a crutch, but I'm trying to motivate myself, like please you, but also
motivate me.
I'm using this to say, hey, just get outside of yourself and let's do this. You know, I hyped myself up like I'm an older brother, and she says, I'm not your brother. I was like, oh wow. She says, you know, I just feel like I'm a coach pushing you. And he says, you know, let me tell you something. I've been feeling really critiqued
in this whole
thing. Like, I can't be myself. You know, I've given you the benefit of the doubt when it comes to you basically critiquing me, but it hasn't been returned. And he was like, it's getting awkward now. And she was like, you know, I get that. I understand where you're coming from. But, you know, dating in Nashville has been hard. You know, it's kind of made me hard on the inside, and I'm trying to get off of that. So basically, she was like, I've been stiff and rigid because I ain't trying to get my heart broke. I ain't trying to put more effort into something that's not worth my time and effort. And some things I'm just not like. If it's something that I don't like, I'm addressing it up front.
Yeah, I'm not compromising. I'm kind of addressing it up front. I want to nip it in the bud. And that's the type of personality she has. I'm not going to waste my time. Mm-hmm. And you don't see most 25-year-olds with that. I was kind of impressed with her saying that. Look, I'm not trying to waste my time at this age. I'm trying to be married. I want this to move on.
Mm-hmm. But she did realize that attitude is part of, what she explained to him, attitude is part of her sexual and emotional attraction. So basically, she's like, I'm trying to look for that confidence from you. I'm not really used to that.
A lot of people think a man who's confident is sexy.
Mm-hmm. What's your priorities at home? And you know, he was like, my top priority is cleanliness and keeping stuff together. And when we get to his spot, you're gonna have to stay clean because it ain't no space for you. But anyway, she said she's looking forward to moving in together. Right. They're getting used to each other. You know, he said he's never lived with a partner before, but he has a sense of it though because he's had girlfriends come over like for days at a time. And so
I want to that little.
He's talking about in Michigan.
In Michigan, that's what I'm thinking. Like, you have people at somebody else's house, you got girls come over at a day. I was like,
so they get moving to their apartment, first night in the apartment. You know, they wake up and she was like, you know, I had to like throw the pillow over my face because you got up in the morning. And he probably the type gets up in the morning and make noise, turn the lights on. And so she was like, I had to cover my face. And he was like, so that now you know one of my quirks, I get up early and being too loud.
I know a person like that. That's me.
Yeah. And so they talked about the fact that, okay, how are you like more traditional when it comes to roles? And he was like, nah. He said, I'm pretty organized. I don't do a lot of clutter, so I can keep that straight. I can help cook. I don't have no problem cooking. And Dominique in her vignette says, you know, she can see how or why based on this, why they were matched, because what he's looking for in a person, she kind of embodies. So I see where they did that at.
Yeah, but she was a little picky at a spot, though. She was a little judgmental and picky. She was really...
Yeah, we can do that real quick, because he lives with his friend's family, which is funny, because his friend lives in Washington, but her family is in Nashville. And so, let me show you my spot. It's in the basement, and really, he just got a bed.
He got a bed.
Because she was like, I don't have anything to judge you, you know, base my formulating opinion on, because... nothing in this space says you. Those aren't your pictures on the wall. These aren't your CDs. This is your game thing. You just got the bed. You got this little bitty closet. You barely have any clothes in it. And basically, she's like, you don't look settled here. And that's a red flag for me. Because he said, I didn't know how I would feel enough to get a lease for an apartment. I might go somewhere else. So he didn't do that. She was like, so you didn't feel settled enough to get an apartment, but you felt settled enough here to try to find a wife? She was like, red flag, red flag, red flag. Like, what?
Like, you're running your track star. I mean, again, running a track star. But again, a lot of people not transition. I mean, go back to Stasha. Stasha was moving into an apartment, right? I mean, she was transitioning from a home.
But she didn't live with somebody else.
She didn't live with somebody else. Matter of fact, Jasmine says that she was staying at her parents' house while she's transitioning on the show.
I understand that, though, but that's her parents. He don't have nothing. This is not nobody related to him.
So you try to call him, what's the girl from New Orleans?
Christina.
Living.
He's a vagabond a little bit.
Vagabond. Shoot, what's his name? My man, Steve. Steve was living in his van.
But it was his. But it was his. Which, as a side note, did you see him and Mindy on a trip together? Ooh.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so basically that's it with Dominique and McKinley. She's just like nervous because he doesn't look like he's got roots. And her concern is that he'll pick up and go. And so where does that leave me? And are you expecting me to pick up and go with you? She says you went from Washington to Georgia to Nashville. Like, you're used to moving around. I'm going to need you to put some roots down.
I need you to settle, bro.
So, that's it for this episode.
Yeah, I mean, we're starting to get you're getting into the episodes where I like the nitty gritty when they start living together, because that's when the fireworks or the drama really happens, because you can see people quirks and they around each other 24/7, their issues, their problems, and you get to see who's husband or wife material. So, hey, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit that bell notification so you don't miss any more of our reviews. And if you stayed around and you stuck around and watched all this 40-some minutes of this video, hit the subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button. I mean, you like us. We appreciate you. Thank you, and have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.